Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Bedford Township for August 13th, 2024. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, if Pastor Greg Withrow could open us up in prayer. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Like to open up with a little bit of encouragement from the Word before we go to prayer. So I'm reading from one of my favorite sections of Psalm 19, where it says, "The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes." With that, would you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, Lord God, I thank you for the privilege of being able to be involved just in lifting up prayer for this township. I thank you for this board, for the responsibility that you have given them. We know that all authority and all power rest with you, seated on your throne, and that you then give that responsibility as instruments of yours to those of us who abide on this earth. So I pray, Lord God, for good rapport among the board members, good wisdom and prudence in all the decisions that they make, that they would know who they answer to, and it's not us in the end. And so I just pray for that, for this board and the changes that are coming after the first of the year. May in everything that we do, you be honored and glorified. And we pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, item 2 is approval of the agenda. Okay, Ms. Hirschberger.
I'd like to add under new business 8. I'd like to add under new business 8D, ballot wording.
Okay, anybody have any comments, questions? If not, I look for agenda.
Go ahead, Rick.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Gore. Any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Item 3, the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to approve and place on file A, minutes from the July 16th, 2024 regular meeting of the Bedford Township Board. B, general savings, pooled funds, and seated reports from the treasurer for June 2024. C, accept with regret the resignation of Tim Hogberg from the Bedford Fire Department effective immediately.
Go ahead and make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Support. Okay, motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Discussion. Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, and the motion passed 7-0. Item 5, public comment. 5 minutes on board agenda items.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance, 99 days and counting slowly. Okay, my comment first, well, 8D. I'm questioning if this is ballot wording for the marijuana issue, since it wasn't put on ahead of time. That's kind of, again, that stuff needs to be as soon as possible on there, because ballot wording is going to be very confusing for the public. So, and there's, no ability to ask questions here tonight. So hopefully we'll get a full disclosure and copies passed out of what the ballot's going to say, or if this is just the thoughts that are going to go into it. The other issue I had was on 8C. And I can remember back when Jackman Road was all chewed up and all that asphalt was put into private driveways and piled up where Mulch King now sits. It's too bad that there wasn't some forethought by the board to have that asphalt placed within our parks, because that would have been the beginnings of putting a good foundation down, so that maybe now we would be talking about blacktopping these stone lots. They're dirty, they're dusty, they cause issues with the cars, causes issues with the neighborhood cars, their residents and stuff. So yeah, it would really be nice if we can hopefully find some monies that will help maybe get these parking lots covered with some some better asphalt or at least some kind of protection other than just gravel. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Anybody else? Okay, moving on to new business, 8A, vouchers for payment. Ms. Hirschberger.
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $404,515.12. Fire District, $37,231.64. Fire Equipment, $575,828.59. Downtown Development Authority, $359.65. Library Operating, $8,068.17. American Rescue, $858.12. Building Department, $1,993.37. Sewer O&M Fund, $1,097,539.76. Trust and Agency, $2,961.95. Special Assessment Debt, $500, for a grand total of $2,129,856.37.
Support.
Okay, motion supported. Ms. Januzak, any discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janusek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8B, approve the bid contract for construction of the new maintenance building and its improvements of Bedford Township. Mr. Jim Jacobs, appreciate all your work you've done on this project. I can say it's gone very smoothly, and it's been a great process working with you, so thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Good evening, Chair and trustees. Here tonight to kind of give you an overview of the process to date, and then a recommendation that we're making based on that process. So as you're hopefully aware, bids were received. There were 9 bids turned in on the day of the bid opening. After review of those bids, we talked with staff and decided that the next best approach would be to interview the low 3 bidders in that to vet them out and see the best fit for the township starting at that point. And then if necessary, we could continue that process forward. In that interview process, we determined that Key Construction, which is not the low bidder, was the potentially the best fit for the township for some reasons of missing components within the low bid, as well as some management processes that could lead to success in the project, but were not the vision for the project, which all came out in that interview process with them. So in that, the key bid and the responses to those questions and the follow-up that we had with the references both provided and researched out, and then some follow-up to a question by a fellow trustee to address some concerns that they had with that contractor, have provided adequate responses for us to be able to come to the recommendation that you see this evening in the letter. The next steps in the process, pending your actions this evening, would be to finalize the agreement with them and then begin the sequence of construction. We would assist through that process, as to kind of explain our next steps and our services. We would administer construction administration services, where we would be monitoring the construction, monitoring payroll applications, and making recommendations to the board for actions on those topics. And then ultimately punch listing out the project and turning over the completed project with the contractor to you. So that's kind of the overview. If there's questions regarding that, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
Mr. Gore?
What was the highest bid?
I believe part of your packet was
MAG.
the chart that outlined those bids. So the highest bid was from Mid-American Group, and the price was $3,979,892.20.
We have 3.9, 2.5, that's 1.4 difference. With going with 2.5, are we going to get hammered with a whole lot of change orders and this and that and everything else to where we're going to be up there at 3.9?
Well, I don't believe so. From our vetting of the bid, I don't. They would need to comply with the documents. If there's something that's not in the documents or a hidden condition that's found, that would be consistently added to all of those bids. The assumption would be.
Low likelihood with being new construction, low likelihood of those types of hidden things.
Correct. Yes, that's not to say that soil conditions or something along those lines couldn't be encountered.
We got to move a transformer like with the fire hall.
Transformer upgrades is part of the scope.
Just
Now,
2.5
they're-
is a low and 3.9 is that's a $1.5 million difference. It just makes me nervous. I don't want to get into a trick bag where every other week we're getting, hey, we need more money, we need more money.
Sure.
Is there a 10%?
Not in the contract bids. I
Okay.
would suggest the township put a 10% contingency fund aside, and there are costs that are responsibility of the owner. And I provided a memo to the staff at our interview process that kind of outlined those utility costs and vendor costs that should be budgeted above this amount, but they would not be the contractor's responsibility to provide those. They are owner responsibilities.
Mr. Bruning?
Yeah, I looked into this quite a bit. I spoke with Jim, with Paul, and with Krista, and the whole reason when the Key Construction first, I saw when it came out as being awarded, that is the same construction company that our school board vetted and refused to use. They chose someone else, and when they chose someone else, they threatened to sue the school. And I told you about that. Plant Moran vetted them. And then I asked what their interview, your guys' interview process was. You interviewed the 3 lowest bidders, and all you guys agreed. The first 2 were horrible. Weren't even really prepared for the interview.
First.
The first, you guys said they weren't good. So that left Key Construction, so you guys picked the best turd left in the toilet. So you have Key Construction is $2.5 million. The next lowest bidder is $2.8 million. So it's only a $300,000 difference.
I'd correct that.
2.3.
There was another one in there at 2.674.
Speaker.
Well, you guys,
First 3 were what we interviewed. You
Yeah,
had
that
the
one-
third one was speaker. Which
that
we
one
didn't
got
take.
ruled out even because Jim explained, you guys didn't even,
No, we got ruled out because we wanted
We
to
didn't
save
go
money
past the
and
second.
go with the second. We didn't think about the third.
so you guys interviewed those. The next one is All Phase, which is 2.8, so it's a $300,000 difference. So I started checking with I checked with Jeff Myers, who's an engineer for Manick & Smith, who we use a lot, Manick & Smith. And I asked him, hey, what do you know about Key? He doesn't know much. I mean, they're not getting going, and from what I was able to find out with others, before Key Construction, they started off as a painting company and went bankrupt and then started this Key Construction company and everything else. Well, he didn't know anything about Key. I said, well, the next bidder, I said, is only $300,000 off, and that's going to be All Phase. He goes, I would recommend them hands down. He goes, they can handle any project that is given to them. So All Phase is known. Key isn't. From what I know from Key, the school board didn't use them, and they had them vetted.
Well, let me ask you this. Why would you skip speaker and go to all phase?
Because both you guys told me
No,
to.
no.
That's why.
Well, I didn't. I wouldn't say it.
When
When I talked to you, I said we weren't going with the lowest bid because when I told you I felt that they were underprepared, I said we decided to go with Key because we felt that that was the better fit. I didn't say anything negative about Speaker. I just said we didn't go with them.
There was nothing negative about them. It was all price. They were the next highest
The
bidder.
third higher, you would have to get rid of the lowest, then you would have to get rid of, for some good reason, get rid of the second lowest, before you could even get to speaker.
So my question to you is, why would you skip speaker and go with the fourth?
Because I was skipping them based on talking to you guys.
I
But
never
even
met.
then, I'm not saying you go with the all phase. I'm just saying you guys should at least interview all phase, so you're getting at least two companies
But
that you're getting a good interview from, because the other ones were horrible,
But
you
my
guys
point
said.
is, no, I don't know who you're talking to, but I didn't have that conversation with you. So we weren't interested in the first company, and it wasn't because anybody said they were horrible, okay? It was just they didn't meet some of the requirements that we had, okay? So when we interviewed two, everybody was satisfied with two. So at that point, we can't go to three because that would violate our policy. So for us to go to three, there's got to be a reason to go to three. So there wouldn't even be a question to go with four because two and three both interviewed well. I've worked for Speaker. They're a great local company, been around 100 years. I'm just saying that we all sat there, myself, Trudy, Krista, Al, Mr. Jacobs, and they were extremely professional. They were very detailed. There was no question. I believe what you're talking about, because I did my homework too, is early on when they bid on the stadium, they were a newer company. So when you're talking about a newer company and the price is lower, yeah, you have a learning curve with a newer company. You do have issues starting out. And nothing in writing, but there was some phone calls that were made and some negative feedback was gotten. Doesn't mean they're a horrible company. It's been how many years since the bids went out for the stadium? 5? I mean, it's been quite some time is all I'm saying. So the company's obviously grown leaps and bounds. They've done how many projects since then successfully, because we called some of the newer references and got rave reviews. So I can't necessarily go off of directly what Plant Moran did how many years ago with a newer company. We did our homework from today's world and what they've done in the last few years, and it's been great. So for us to even think about going with Speaker, all phase isn't even in the question, Speaker, it wasn't worth us moving past them
Okay, I'm just saying.
to spend more money.
I would like for you guys to interview more companies. If you don't want to, that's your choice. I'm not going to be supporting this. I already told you guys
But what
that.
would be the point of
And
that?
when the change orders start coming in, get ready, Jim. I'm going to make sure all of Bedford knows. Jim vetted them. Jim Jacobs Architects. Here we go, guys. Another fire station all over again.
Well, here's the thing. When you're dealing with a 100-year-old fire station and there's walls being taken down, there's unknowns all over that we didn't know about.
I even told Jim that when I talked to Jim. I said, look.
Yeah, but Jim can't foresee what's behind a wall
This
either.
is a brand new building.
Right. There
He
shouldn't
should
be
be able
any,
to foresee anything.
There shouldn't be any overages.
They should come in under budget.
Right. They might.
But with the school board not using them, I don't see why we should. I'm not going to support it.
Mr. Gore?
So real quick,
Oh, Mr. Steiner will be next. It doesn't matter. Whoever wants to go.
So just for a couple of clarification items, there was only 2 bidders up in that high 3 million. We've one at 3.979 million and another one at 3.879 million. Everybody else was under 3 million. So there's a huge difference by $1 million right there. So the top 3 companies, you're always going to, or top 2 companies up there, cost-wise, you're always going to get those companies in a bid. Somebody's going to put that number and see if it sticks. Some of the questions I had have already been answered. I talked to Mr. Jacob too. There were some deficiencies on the first company, the low bidder. Some of that can't be outrightly discussed because it's contractual. But the other thing that on our side, regardless of the bid process, which I'm sure that Jim did a good job with his team and our team, working with Jim and then the interviews. But internally, so if we go with the 2.553, funding-wise, where do we stand? Because I know we're using majority as ARPA funds and then the balance out of the general fund. So what is our planned breakdown going to be for that split?
I don't have Bob here to answer that. That would have been a question I needed to be asked ahead of time so I could have that information in front of me.
Well, I can tell you this, we have the majority, the vast majority is still ARPA.
Yes.
So very little will be coming, if any, out of our general, because we were banking on 3.3.
Krista, do you know by chance what's in ARPA right now?
It's roughly 2.2.
I can look at what it was back in
2.2.
June.
So what's in my head is 2.2.
That's close to what we.
Because I saw our original numbers, we were talking 2.5 for this building, give or take.
Well, in our budget this year, we budgeted to take $1 million out of our general fund.
Right,
to
if
fund this
necessary.
building. If necessary. So
correct.
we're under right now.
So looking back at June, if you look at the balance here, it was 2.6.
6.
And obviously, we're now, because in July would be the next one in August. I don't know exactly off the top of my head what that is.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking close at what we've got.
Close.
And that,
I did ask Bob that question.
and I wasn't looking for right down to the single penny of it. I was looking for the millions,
Right.
hundreds
Yeah.
of thousands, right?
I know that Bob, when he saw these bids come in, said, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that we were based on what the ARPA funds had been.
Yep. Mr. Gore was next.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, you answered my question with the million that we have budgeted. It's just 2.5, we do it, 255,000, 10% contingency, and then there's $1 million that we've slated in our general fund, correct, towards this building.
Right.
I surely hope this building does not cost us 3.5. I don't think it will. It's new construction, but again, I don't know. That's my concern, is if we do 2.5 with this company and, we get this order or that order, and next thing you know, we're creeping up over 3 million.
I mean, I look at this honestly as building a home. If I go in and talk to Bankowski Builders tonight and I bring him prints, and he says it's going to cost me $600,000 to build that, he knows his cost, he knows his market, he knows the industry. Why would it cost $1 million to build that house? You know what I mean? It's the same concept. When you're dealing with an old building, yes, it happens. I've seen it a million times where you take something down. Now, if we go out there and they start digging, they find a dinosaur bones, yeah, we're in trouble. But I can't imagine that after site work, because there was major site work done on this place when they built this building. So we know the site here. We know the soil conditions. They're good. They're right for building. I mean, we've bid everything to the T of what it should cost. There's really, to me, I don't see how it could be over what they bid.
But in here it does say there's no substitutions planned as well.
No.
So that they've met the requirements with no substitution. Correct.
Right, Mr. Bruni?
So that's the thing with Key Construction being, and you said it yourself, it's a new company. There may be things that they're not thinking of that a more well-known company is. Like I said, Jeff Myers, engineer from Manikin Smith, he knows nothing about this company. Whereas Allphase, he's like, hands down, that's the one to go with.
They were newer when you guys were bidding.
Well, they're still not
I mean, I would
well-known.
think 5-6 years of a company being around and then having great reviews is a testament that they've come around. They're capable of doing it. They've done schools. They did the building off of Telegraph Road for MDOT. I mean, that big building. They're doing big projects and successfully completing them.
Well, the real good point, though, Paul, is, sorry, Craig, that one of the things we got to remember, companies have issues, especially on startup. Sometimes it can be poor management. There's numerous companies out there that struggled to start with. They went down, they came back, changed the management structure, and obviously, if that was their issue, if it was a management structure, they've obviously turned it around for the last 10 years and moving forward. Plus, there's the list of projects that they had was, very quantified of all the things that they've been doing, things that they're currently working on, things that are completed.
I can tell you this, the last thing that they want is for this project to go bad and over budget.
Right.
Everybody's watching it. All the local contractors, are interested in it. That's the last thing they want. Mm-hmm. So I can't see it. With all the subs that they provided, I recognized most of them. And the two that will be doing the majority of the work are local great companies that have been around 100 years. So they might be new, but the companies that will be performing the majority of the work are not. They've been around for, one of them's 120 years. That'll be erecting the building, and putting up the sheet metal and the roof. Concrete stuff being done by a local union company. I mean, so the vast majority, the doors is a huge part of the project. That'll be done by a local company. So the vast majority of the work's not being performed by them. So, Mr. Matra.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about the 10%, because even at a 10% of change orders, $250,000, they're still at or below where All-Phase is. And All-Phase, if there's going to be unforeseens, All-Phase could just as likely have unforeseens. So even if we're at $255,000 over, that's still equal to All-Phase's bid. And that's probably, I don't know, that's what I was asking, if that's something we can have built in or not for the 10%.
What are some scenarios that could happen that they could be over?
The
And
biggest
that we'd
one,
be liable for. That would be our responsibility after they've bid the 2.5.
the biggest one that I can foresee could be hidden conditions in the ground. Outside of that, it's a spec building, and it's a pretty straightforward spec building. It's a pre-engineered with very little finishes on the interior. There's some tie-in with the existing systems here, but that was covered in depth in the bid documents, and including connecting them with Habitek and the folks that maintain your generator, and the upgrade process that's going to need, so that we make sure both parties are part of that bid. So the biggest one that I can foresee would be that, or some design change requested by the owner.
Which we've gone over that a numerous amount of times. How big are they deep in roughly, Jim? Because it's no basement.
It's just footing depth.
So you're talking
2 inches.
2 foot
No, you're talking 42 inches.
for footing, but actual pad that
Yeah.
the building will be on will be what? A foot, 2 foot, and then they'll put gravel down or whatever.
Correct.
So
Yeah, another question for Jim. Jim, do you know if any of Key's subcontractors get 1099?
I do not.
Because if it's a sole proprietorship on a 1099, they don't have to use prevailing wage.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yes, if they're a sole proprietor. Yep.
So if that's the case, that could screw your union buddies, Paul.
listen, at the end of the day, when we're dealing with township taxpayer dollars, I do what's the absolute best for the taxpayer.
That's what I'm trying
And
to
I
do
take
also.
everybody,
It's not
special
my money,
interest,
it's the
anybody out
township
of the
money.
question. So it doesn't have anything to do with unions. It doesn't have anything to do with my buddy down the road. It has everything to do with a good company that's going to do a good job at a good price for the community. Period. It just so happens that they have great union contractors, which I love. But it had no bearing on my vote or my sway. If I would have recognized and the first bidder would have done a great presentation, we would have went with them. Problem is, they didn't have one of their subs listed, so we had no idea who their subs were. And quite frankly, the presentation was just subpar.
That's why I think you guys didn't get two good interviews. You had
We can't go with a third or a fourth if two is good. You can't justify spending more taxpayer dollars if two is good and meets the satisfaction of our group. You have no reason to go to three. And if we didn't like Key, for some reason, if they didn't give us a good presentation, we weren't happy, Speaker did enough for us, we would have went with them. We wouldn't have even had a reason to go with four, because Speaker, right, they gave a good interview. They did a good job. We were satisfied.
If
So
we
it
had
would have been
found,
Speaker if we weren't satisfied with two.
if we had found any discrepancies in the second or the third bidder, then we would have suggested having additional interviews to go through that process.
Right.
But we find no legitimate reason to go past it. That's not to say that there couldn't be problems down the road, but there's no indication that would allow us to go past this point without violating some bidding practices.
Anybody else have any comments, questions, Mr. Steiner?
So the one other thing I will say, regardless of which company we're talking about, no matter who we're looking at, unless I've got something that's factual, documented in writing that says this is why this company is bad, I can't sit here and badmouth a company.
Correct.
I can tell you right now, you could take this highest bidder, and you're going to have one person out there that's got an opinion on that company, and they're going to tell you how horrible they are, regardless of price. So I'm okay with Key. I don't have a problem. Again, I don't have anything in writing that tells me why they're terrible and what they've done wrong. So I can't sit here and say anything bad about them.
Yep.
Anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, I look for a motion.
Can I ask one question real quick? Mr. Graham, we've got everything here in front of us. Is there anything specific that you feel that you want us to cover in this motion to make sure that we've got all the T's crossed, the I's dotted, but is there anything else that, I know you guys have reviewed this, anything else that you feel we need to add in our motion for our protection?
Well, as I understand it, there was a motion more or less prepared that, and the main thing when you're granting this award is to make it subject to the post-award conditions. There's always post-award conditions, and as I understand it, those will be part of this motion. I mean, not specifically, but they will be part of it. So, no, I don't think there's anything in particular that I could point to that would be a red flag.
I didn't think there were, since you had not added that, but I wanted to ask that.
Can I add one thing?
Sure.
I would like it contingent upon their financial information coming into us without any concerns.
That's part of the post condition here of the award.
Yeah. And to that point, I've asked for that, and they are preparing the documentation to submit. And that would be part of review with the before final contract would be executed and signed.
And I see that it does say that they'll submit that on our request, so
yes,
that's already planned.
Do you guys have anything you'd like to add before we vote? No? Good? Okay. Okay. Look for a motion.
I will make the motion to accept the proposal from James Jacob Architects, PLLC, for the maintenance, building, and site improvements for Bedford Township. The amount that is planned to be awarded by utilizing Key Construction Group is $2,553,000 even. The financials need to be provided with this award before we can proceed. And then we need to ensure, again, if there's any other post-award items, they must be addressed. If there's anything in question, it does need to come back to the board for approval or withdraw.
That sound good, Tom?
Support.
Excuse me.
Mr. Sperger?
Can I add that you allow for the supervisor and the clerk, along with the township attorney, to act on the behalf and proceed with the final execution of the agreement contract, being the AIA document A105217, standard form of agreement between the owner and the contractor.
Accepted.
Accepted.
Okay, now the noise, whatever that is. Okay, anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Good. Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Montre?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy? Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
No.
Mr. Bruning?
Nope.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye. Motion passed 5-2.
Thank you.
Jim, thank you. We'll be talking to you soon. Okay, moving on to 8C. Approve the purchase of 450 tons of stone for the parking lots at Carr, White, and Parmalee Parks. Did you want to speak to that, Todd?
No, I let the park board know this last night at their meeting that you guys were getting the stone for their parking lots.
Okay.
They were happy.
Okay, I would like to speak to the millings. I spoke to it, I think, quite a few times over the years. We don't want millings for our parks. We don't want millings for our dirt roads. We don't want them, period. So if we wanted millings, we could have millings the size of this building sitting out back for free. But we don't want them because when you put them down on driveways, when you put them down on parking lots, when it's 80 degrees and they get ruts, the heat hits them and they stay like that. You can't go over there and grade them. They stay rutted and then they harden. So it's not something that the township, at least since I've been here, has been interested in. But if we wanted them, we could have them. So, I'm sure they are a good use for some areas and some people, but it's not something we wanted to use. Our buildings and our parks get too much traffic. So otherwise we wouldn't use dirt on the roads. We'd use millings. So other than that, I look for a motion. Or anybody else have any comments, questions with the tons of stone?
Well, thank you for bringing this up, Paul. I've been over at Parmalee Park, and that was something I was going to ask to bring up, but thank you for bringing that up.
Okay, I look for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the purchase of 450 tons of stone for the parking lots at Carr, White, and Parmalee Parks from Mazarins with the lowest bid of $6,750.
Support.
Motion is supported. Mr. Bruning, any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8D, ballot wording. Ms. Hirschberger?
So before you is the ballot wording that will be on the November ballot. I could not get this on the agenda because I was still checking signatures on Monday to make sure that we had enough. By 5 o'clock Monday, I did come to the conclusion that we had enough, and I had to have this verbiage to the county by today. So they do have the verbiage. It was on time. Today was the very last day they could do it. But I wanted this board to also approve this language.
To be quite honest with you, this is the language roughly I thought Phil should use when we first talked about it. Clean, clear, very easy to understand. I think anybody that can read should be able to understand what this says. We're repealing, and this would add.
Correct.
It's that simple. I mean, I don't know how else you could clearly say what we're doing, not what we're doing, what's being done.
We can say that a yes vote would allow up to 5 adult marijuana retailer establishments. A no vote would keep our ordinance in place, and no retail for marijuana would be allowed in the township as it stands.
Pretty straightforward.
Anybody have any questions?
Joe?
I like what Trudy was saying. I like the ordinance. I read it. No vote. It is what it is. But also saying in there that a yes vote would allow it, a no vote, clear and concise.
Is it too late to add that?
What?
What you just said about the no vote and the yes vote.
I don't think that can be on a ballot. We are more than welcome
What
to
it
say
says right
that
here is what it says.
Okay.
every time. At every board meeting, we can remind people if you vote yes, this is what it means, what you vote no. But as far as to put it, am I correct?
That's right. I mean, we've submitted the language, and Mr. Goldsmith helped write that with the clerk, and I think that's what it is. So, but I think what the clerk was trying to hint at is that we can encourage the electorate that this is what it means. You know, this is what, when you're voting, you cannot go one way or the other, but you can at least explain a yes vote means up on the marijuana, up to 5 establishments. A no means no on that.
I could tell you what, this language compared to some of the languages that I've had to vote on over the years is night and day. I don't think we'd have some things in place today if they were this clean and clear of what you're actually voting on. I think every single person, in my opinion, that will be voting on this will understand what a yes and a no is, because it's going to be something that people are talking about. It's been a very interesting subject since I've been in office, and so I think people are going to come out of the woodwork, talking about it, discussing it, and ultimately voting the way they would like to see. So, Mr. Steiner.
Like Mr. Graham said, obviously that's not something that we could put on the actual ballot for a yes means this and no means that. So we can convey that information, but just a reminder that this is their proposal. It's that long and the print is that big. So I can tell you right now, this goes out with your ballots, but nobody's going to read this whole thing. It's very difficult. So we just need to let people know, understand what you're voting for, and it's not just this. It's everything we do, everything we vote yes or no for, or for or against a person or anything. Understand it before we make our votes one way or the other.
Maybe Mr. Graham can answer this, but how often this goes down in November? When can they bring it back to the board?
I don't know that answer. I would like to say they can't do it for a certain period of time. I would like to say that's the end, but I really can't say that.
Okay.
So, I am asking the board to ratify what the clerk had to do in a timely manner, before this meeting tonight. Plus, there was no meeting last week because of the election, and then we were still, as you say, vetting these signatures. It was a difficult thing. And again, we didn't ask for this. This came to us, and the law required us to deal with it. So I think we have dealt with it. And Paul, at first, Mr. Goldsmith, we talked about it. Mr. Goldsmith wanted to put all the language on, so that nobody could accuse us of trying to manipulate the language or the vote. But this is, as you said, much better. And the other thing is, and we found this, is that we can write our own ordinance. We don't have to take their ordinance. We're going to write our own ordinance within the parameters of this vote. As you say, it's pretty simple. Mm-hmm. And I think it's simple for the yes voters, and I think it's simple for the no voters.
Which I think it should be that way. If people want marijuana and they want to vote yes, so be it. But I don't think anybody should put it in a way that confuses the voters. So
I like how they were putting it out there when they were getting the petition signed.
That's what people were saying. But I mean, like again, what Mr. Steiner said, I don't know that. They didn't come to me. They didn't ask me. No, you know what I mean? To me, it's all hearsay. So I don't know.
We did have employees that were approached.
I don't doubt that.
No, I'm just saying we did.
So okay. Like a motion?
Please.
Are you ready for a motion?
Make the motion to approve the proposed ballot language as reviewed by our clerk and legal as presented.
Support. Motion is supported, Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Prony?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. And number 9, comments from the public. I haven't seen you move that quick in a while, Lamar.
5 hour
5 hour, oh, okay.
Did your Wheaties today?
Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive. On the project out back, the wide divergence of the bids give me a little bit of a heartburn, and I wonder if we're all looking at the same project. Be that as it may, I recommend, as I have several times, that the township get its own builder's risk. The reason for that is we had the roof, Tom would remember, the roof at the library fell down, but we had our own engineer. We didn't have to rely on the engineer of the builder. We simply went forward and took care of it ourselves. I recommend that you do that. Number 3, who's going to be the project manager on this? I've seen a lot of projects here that just don't go well. So I hope you have a good project manager to watch this thing. Number 4, you're going to get change orders. It's as simple as that, because there's going to be something that comes along and the contractor's going to say, not within the scope. And you're going to argue over that. So you're going to get them, because if somebody says this is 3.8 and somebody says this is 2.5, there are some serious questions in between. So be prepared for those. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. I want to give a shout out to my fan, R. Stephen, whether he be real or fake. Thanks for the support. Secondly, it seems to be that our ARPA money has reared its ugly head again, and I would suggest that you do vote no for any change orders. Secondly, the Bedford Township Community News and Views had a whole list of paid sponsors. They paid the Peronis to have their names put on that header. It has since come down, but because of things like that, I will be asking for a list of the subcontractors who work on this project. Thirdly, thank you, Trudy, for being clear and concise with a yes and no, because it really makes it easy. And fourth, the people that were asked if they had anything to add to this conversation in the building were not from Key. Key was not here in this room at all. Those people were from another company, and they were here because they have grave concerns over what took place. Anybody wants to ask me, see me after the meeting. And fourth, I'd like to see the applications that were not included in the packet at the last meeting due to people who were hired here by the township for having other jobs. I believe now that they have been hired, there's no reason why the public should not be able to see their applications for those jobs. Again, thank you, and all I can say is our maintenance equipment must be made of gold.
Josh Niederkor, 7948 Wiseman Road, Lambertville. So I want to touch on a few things. One, congrats on the election. I think it went pretty well, honestly. Two, we're going to talk about people's median attendance. Let's talk about people's hours that they spend in Township Hall as a full-time salary position. I think you know what I'm talking about. So before you continue to bash somebody for taking some time away for family time, let's look at your hours that you actually spend in Township Hall. Secondly, Facebook group, Bedford Township Community News and Events, that's obviously ran by somebody in particular, is putting out there, oh, this is how you should vote, telling people how to vote, and blocking people that don't agree with views so that they can't see posts or being on the loop of things. I think that's wrong and improper, and that needs to change as well. Thanks.
Any more comments?
Hello, everyone. Mark Ellsworth, 1421 Winding Way. I'm here on some positive news. Linda Johnson had approached me. She's a market manager for the Bedford Farmers Market. Approached me last fall about getting involved on the board, which I graciously did. And she has a list of things that markets do around the country. And one of the things that she wanted to institute was vouchers for vets. So I had talked to Al, and we started working on a couple of things, but I threw $500 worth of seed money in, and somebody was sitting in our coffee shop from Colorado, and he thought, wow, what a cool idea, and wrote a check for $200 just by visiting somebody and sitting in the coffee shop. So they started out with $700. Well, last weekend was their first go around with these vouchers to hand out. And there were, I don't know if you know this or not, but there were well over 500 people that visit the farmer's market. It's busy. It's really cool. It's fun to see, and it's grown. But 70 vets showed up and spent $340 in vouchers, and produce was completely run out in a couple of stands, which I think is a pretty cool thing. So in the meantime, to continue, I'm still looking for people that want to donate. You can donate anytime. If you go to the farmer's market every Saturday, I'll have 2 pots of coffee there. You can throw money in to continue to help rotate funds through the fall so veterans can get coffee or get produce. But 70 vets to start out. It all stayed local. It stayed with local farmers. You should pat Linda Johnson on the back for pushing this program and going from there.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Ellsworth. Appreciate what you're doing for them.
Josh Stump, 7178 Wiltshire Drive. I just want to thank Trudy and her team on Election Day. I know it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of people that go into that, and I thought it went extremely well, and looking forward to another smooth election in November. So I just want to thank you. I think you did a great job. Thank you.
Any more comments? Okay, comments from board members. Mr. Steiner?
I have nothing this evening.
Okay, Mr. Montreux?
Nothing from me.
Mr. Gore?
No, just thank everybody that came out for voting. If I read the numbers correctly, Trudy, county-wide, we're only at 19%. 20% countywide. Oh, I hope those numbers get up more, get out and vote. And what was the overall total for early voting? I mean, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I am.
Very low.
Very low. All right. Was it?
First side 160.
12.
Like 160. It's less than the last time.
Right. And that's at our cost.
Yes.
Okay. Right. But again, folks, November's coming up. I urge everybody to get out and vote and get those numbers up. And other than that, everybody have a good week.
Okay, Mr. Bruning?
Nothing more to add. Everyone have a good night, good weekend. The end of this month, I will be going down to get my oldest, Jacob. He's be finishing up his school, so I'll be getting him at Camp Geiger the end of this month. I'll be missing a park board meeting, but not the township meeting.
Everyone have a good evening and a nice weekend. That's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Hirschberger?
Our next board meeting will be next week, Tuesday, August 20th, due to the election. They're back-to-back. As I was saying, this election only had a 20% voter turnout. It's a 5% less turnout than we've ever had in a primary, so very low. I want to thank my staff, all of my election inspectors for their hard work, and all of the churches and the library for allowing us to use their locations for our precinct. We really appreciate their help with that. That's all.
Okay. The world's always falling with you, Miss Keene. It's always so bad. Well, let me tell you, it's not. Things are going well. Everybody here cares and does a great job, does their homework, and works very hard. And I appreciate every board member, even you, Todd. I appreciate you. Okay? Josh, it really worries me that you're going to be on the park board, because one thing I've told you for years is do your homework. And you just continue to throw crap at the wall. And you don't. Do your homework. It'll go a long ways with you being involved in the park board. Do your homework. No, you don't get to speak right now. You got to sit there and listen. Do your homework. Okay? So that's what I'll tell you. Community cleanup is going to be October 25th from 8 to 4 at Indian Creek Bus Garage. The DDA is continuing to work on their agreements for the signals. We want to make sure it's very tight, okay? And we want to answer any questions before it comes to this board. So the legal team is working with the Monroe County Road Commission's legal team to make sure it's something that we know the board will be willing to agree with. So That's continuing to be worked on. The Boo Bash is going to happen again this year. The DDA is working on that. That'll be in October. The Lake Erie Transit has a new general manager, J.T. Hensley. He's replacing Mark Jagozinski, who retired with over 30 years' experience. Mark is a Bedford resident, so I just wanted to congratulate him on all of his service. I want everybody to think of some hometown heroes. We have that wall downstairs that we've named, I think, 4 people in the last 8 years. So if you think of somebody, start nominating them. Or if anybody in the public has somebody, send them in to Al. And, I will tell you this, touch on what Mr. Josh says. Al's going to be the new supervisor. So Al, I'm making sure that it's going to be an absolute smooth transition for Al. We work very closely every single day. And Al is running the office as he would see fit to where it's a smooth transition. What I would say is check the statutory laws of elected officials before you come up here, and you'll understand how it works. But things are running very smooth. I'm handling all of our major projects, and we're still going on. Not bringing on anything new to this board, that's kind of where that stands. I want everybody to understand what T.C. Clemens and his team is doing to the Monroe County Business Alliance. It's gotomonroe.com. They have worked very hard on a calendar, a county-wide calendar, and they've done a great job with it. I would recommend anybody that wants to know anything that's going on in the county, go to gotomonroe.com, and you can see what's going on at one page. You don't have to go to each township or village or city. You know what's going on in your county. So I want to thank them for all their hard work on that. Other than that, I feel really confident with us picking the contractor for the maintenance building. All of us, and including myself, will be extremely involved in the process with Mr. Jacobs from now and at least me until I leave, which I won't be involved in much of it, but Mr. Pryor will take over. He has years of construction experience, and Mr. Kohler, our building inspector, will be involved. We're going to make sure this project goes well, and we're going to make sure that when we're done with it, people don't walk through it, or the maintenance guys don't walk through it and are like, oh, why didn't we do this, or why does that look like? We're going to make sure it's done right. So, we all have a lot of complaints about this building not having a basement or storage or windows that open. So we want to make sure that we touch on a lot of these things. But other than that, nothing. Okay, motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Adjourn.